coming to you live, but actually recorded. Chapter 8, Failed Hopes. Alabaster, bellowed the chief, hearing a knock on the door. His assistant peeked his head into the room. No, sir, not yet, but I just received confirmation from debrief on Green Level that he's been diverted to your office for his debriefing. The large man moved away from the windows that looked out on Madison Avenue near Grand Central Station in New York City. Adequate. He thumped his way out of the double doors into the foyer. Perkins backed away, giving the large man plenty of room to maneuver. The man looked at Perkins' immaculately clean desk and then looked at the assistant, who was holding a clipboard. I wonder if he's already figured it out himself. He's a bright young man. Yes, sir. Maybe, sir. Perkins, I was just thinking aloud. I don't need an answer. Perkins looked down at his clipboard. Right, sir. Yes, sir. Perkins muttered under his breath as he rolled his eyes, hoping his boss did not see it. The large man turned back toward his double doors. Well, when he gets here, send him in right. Send him right in. He went back into his office. Oh, okay, sir, Perkins said as the door slammed shut. Al sat down in one of the chairs in the chief's office. It was his second visit here, and Al felt an overwhelming sadness. His heart began to sink when the agent on Green Level told him to come here to debrief, but now it was worse. The last time he was in this office, the chief had shared about the death of his parents. Maybe it was better to hear the bad news from failing from his guardian than from some senior agent. The large boss was sitting behind an enormous desk looking right at him. Alabaster, I'm going to get straight to the point. You failed the trials, the man said. You were tested on 5 essential skills for assistant agent status: physical speed, mental toughness, technological expertise, observation, and courage. You only passed 3 of the 5. You lost all concentration with the simple trick of your mother, and you allowed yourself to be distracted by the Albanian map. What do you have to say for yourself? The stern look of the chief said it all. His career as a secret agent was over. Al looked away toward the windows as the pit in his stomach grew. He ran one of his hands through his hair and breathed deeply. The teen agent looked back at the big man and answered him. I don't have a good excuse, Chief. Maybe I let my emotions cloud my judgment. Probably nothing, Alabaster. If you don't pay attention to the details, you're going to get yourself killed as a field agent. And you've always worn your heart on your sleeve. It's an asset and a curse. It gives you great passion and courage, but it's your greatest weakness, too. You can't let your emotions come to the surface, or you'll be deceived by the enemy. I know you miss your parents, but you can't let your love for them be used against you. You have to guard your emotions. You have to guard your heart. But, sir, my parents, Al said, looking at the chief's stern face. He remembered the warning from the email and quickly withdrew his next remark. Yes, sir, Al's shoulders slumped. As it stands, you are not accepted at Langley, and it's my call if I want to keep you on until you're 16. But I have a better reason why I'm not sending you packing, the chief said as he stood from his chair and looked out at the Manhattan skyline. Your parents. My parents, sir? Yes, Alabaster. You see, my boy, your parents were agents under my supervision before the undercover secret agency began. They worked for me doing covert and clandestine missions when I was with the CIA. Turnkey was right. The chief was more to my parents. But my parents were engineers. They designed electrical equipment, right? Yes, your parents were electrical engineers, but they used that as their cover. They spent years with the CIA fighting international criminals. Al sat thinking until the chief spoke. Alabaster, I know this must come as a shock to you. Not really, Chief. I mean, I've been actually wondering about it lately. I thought it was because you were the head supervisor while I was at the sports academy, and it was natural that you would be my guardian if they died. But I guess if they were part of the CIA, then that explains how I ended up here. I've always wondered, but it makes sense. The chief nodded. Al scratched his head and swallowed hard. You said they died in a car wreck. Was it a mission? The chief turned to look at the skyline out the window. Yes. You were 7 years old. I sent them on a mission to Scotland to infiltrate a crime network operating in a remote chain of isles. They flew into London, and on their way north, their car was attacked. If you remember, I came to you and told you they died in a car wreck. That was true. What I didn't tell you was their car caught fire and exploded in northern London, and they died. It was so powerful and hot, nothing was left. We suspected a crime network, but the trail went cold in search for the killer. The case was never solved, but I'm convinced it was not a simple accident. I'm very sorry for your loss, Alabaster. So their death in the car wreck was a cover-up. Al looked at the large man. Well, what did you do to recover them? The chief furrowed his forehead and raised his eyebrow. Recover them? Their bodies were incinerated. The large man gave Al a quizzical look. Al shouldn't have asked that. The chief didn't know his parents were alive after the car wreck. Alabaster tried to recover quickly. So, if the case was never solved, then is it still open? Can I see the file of the investigation? The chief frowned. The case is closed as never solved. I don't think it's a good idea for you to see the file. Al thought he shouldn't press his luck. What do my parents have to do with my failure in the agent trials? The chief moved his large body over to the desk and sat down in the leather chair. You failed the CIA trials, but you didn't fail mine. This may be a CIA prep school, but I'm still in charge of the undercover secret agency. I have an agreement with the CIA, but that doesn't mean they can dictate who comes or goes. You failed them, but you didn't fail me. You would have passed my design to trials. Plus, I owe it to your parents to keep training you. Normally, you wouldn't even have a shot at Langley until you were 16 anyway. I'm keeping you around because it's my call. Maybe I should let him see the video. Al felt grateful for another chance, but the look on the chief's face and his reluctance to share the file on his parents made Al feel uneasy. He decided to continue hiding the email from the chief. So what now? Am I going back to the mansion? The look on the chief's face was not a happy one. Yes, you will be going back, but you are going back alone. The CIA is taking all of my junior agents to Langley. The large man clenched his right hand into a fist and looked away from Al. They are heading south tonight. Their things will be shipped to them from the mansion. Al stood up. What? Turnkey is going to Langley? You're splitting us up? The chief looked at Alabaster. Sit down, agent. Al sat as the large man stood up with his huge belly partially resting on the edge of his desk. This is not my doing. Yes, Agent Keystone has been promoted. It is likely you will not see him for some time. The new assistant agents will be going to the CIA farm at Camp Perry down in Williamsburg, Virginia for 2 years of covert training before they assume their normal analyst duties at Langley. When agents go to the farm, all communication with the outside world is restricted. Only handwritten letters to parents are permitted. Every graduate of the farm assumes a new covert set of identities. I'm sorry, Alabaster, but you won't see Turnkey or any of your other classmates again for at least 2 years, maybe more. More? The big man shifted his weight, and his belly moved off the desk. I expect you to be promoted when you turn 16, and it's likely that this new protocol that you will head to the farm for at least for a while when your classmates go to Langley. If that happens, you will possibly have a couple of years of communication restrictions, too. That's 4 years, Chief. The man pounded down his fist on the desk. Yes, Agent Dangermond, calm yourself. I'm not going to see Turnkey for 4 years? Al felt hot and like he wanted to throw up. His best friend had just been ripped from his life. That concludes our chapter. Next time we'll pick up with Chapter 9, Agent Keystone.